One part of being born in the 80s, early 90s, and becoming really concerned around what my label was like learning about what HIV/AIDS is. And learning about that at a young age when the public understanding of HIV/AIDS was like very, very different from what it is now. And the discrimination that gay men faced in the late 80s and early 90s, being a young, very queer, feminine child, I was very terrified by that and very scared of like what that was gonna mean for my future. I grew up in Quincy, Illinois. The culture in that time is kind of what you would expect of like a conservative small town in rural Illinois. I wanted to wear tights and I wanted to wear like sweatshirts like this, except for like more of like an extreme, like I really wanted to be like this. And I just wanted to wear like thigh-high boots or like a velvet evening gown with big gold puffy sleeves that my cousins had that they would play dress up with. I didn't understand people's intense visceral reaction to my wanting to express myself in this way. Seeing my father be, have such intense negative reaction to my wanting to play with makeup or dresses, I think was, very confusing. And I think that it also made me feel like my gender expression was something that I needed to hide from a very early age. And then when I realized that I had same-sex attraction, or that like being in first and second grade and like wanting to go push down like Tyler and then like go braid Tamika's hair, like I was not doing what all the other little boys were doing. I think that's like when I realized like, what's this gonna mean? So I think it was like, all between like 5 and then 7, because I was having like gender expression and early understandings of not necessarily being gay, but definitely feeling like, boys made me nervous, girls made me feel like I was like, wanted to be their best friends. I was realizing that on multiple fronts, there was things about me that were like not exactly the same as like the other little boys. The bullying that happened to me like through junior high and middle school and high school was very pervasive, and it had like a verbal element to it, and there was definitely like a violence element to it. And really just in general, like a feeling of having your safety stolen, constantly feeling like you have to like look over your shoulder like for your safety, for your space. And that is something that is just kind of second nature to me. And even as an adult, that has like never really left me. Being able to like sit with that discomfort and sit with that anxiety and develop tools that like aren't self-destructive to be able to like healthily process that is really super important. This is how I made my gorgeous daydreaming brain work, and I think how I've actually like made my like success in going through everything that I went through happen. I have like always like relentlessly chased down like what I was passionate about. Like whether it was like stamps or figure skating or doing hair or learning how to do gymnastics or getting out of Quincy or becoming a hairdresser, becoming a producer, becoming a writer, becoming a comedian. There always needed to be something that I was like really interested in that I could look forward to and like chase down and like achieve. Like I've always been a very goal-oriented person and someone who wanted to do the things that I'm passionate about. And if there's nothing in your world that you're inspired by and that you can dream about, it can feel very hopeless. I think sometimes it's really hard to get to a place where you can do what you want to be passionate about because of the hoops that you have to jump through, just like in life. Speaking as someone who has lived with depression and has struggled with depression and has had a relationship with depression, there have definitely been times where the ability for me to locate my passion or my joy was really difficult. Depression is not as easy as saying like, well, just find your joy and then like you're gonna become happy. That was never my experience. When we're identified fully with our depression, it will say things. Like it will say like, well, you have no joy. You have no way out. There will be a negative internal critic in our mind that we need to be able to disassociate from and pull ourselves away from, when it's actually like, is that true? Like, is there really no joy that you can find? Like there's no walk you can take. There's no book you can read. There's nothing you can do to move your body or to create a painting. There's nothing you could do that would bring you any iota of exploration or relief from your sense of suffering. Like, is that true? So sometimes I think when we're really in the throes of depression, you may not get out of it today, but it's important to realize that we are not our depression. We are not our internal critic. We are not always the feelings and the voice in our head. The really important thing about like my experience growing up as myself, where I grew up in such a conservative place, is that there was always people that were like very committed to me having a safe space and trying to be as non-judgmental as like humanly possible. I think my mom was one of the first and foremost people in that space, that she had a lot of concerns bringing me up in the world that I think that she brought me up in, but she did an incredible job of making me feel like I could, you know, express myself. A critical piece of feeling safe in everyone's world is like realizing that you're not alone. And I think that so often the thing about like shame is like the secrecy and that feeling of isolation and that feeling of like being in your head, and it's like, I'm the only person that's experiencing this, or what would anyone think if they knew about like these terrible things that like are going on. And sometimes the things are terrible, and we need to be heard, and we need to feel seen, and we need to be safe. But a lot of times, like when we're able to share with someone who we do feel safe with, we can realize that these things that are happening to us don't make us unlovable, and aren't something to have like as a huge secret, and aren't anything that's gonna like make our future like dark and dreary. And actually we have like a really gorgeous bright future, and we like deserve love and, you know, safety and all of those things. So it's really important to like have that support. And a lot of times we're not born into a family or a location that necessarily has that support, you know, in spades. So you really gotta like make like Carmen Sandiego or like Christian Amanpour and really be like an investigative journalist and like find that support. But now, especially with the internet and gorgeous things like the Trevor Project, there are safe and secure ways of communication and finding community around you that you can help to reduce shame, because the thing that really reduces shame is sharing your story. I think it's really important, if there is someone that you look up to or someone that you really value their experience or, you know, things that they say, it's really important to realize that like other people's experiences are not your experience. So just because something happened to me or I did something a certain way doesn't mean that that certain thing has to happen to you or that you have to do it that way. Everything that we read, see, hear, like we don't have to like completely attach that onto like our truth. Life is like such a gorgeous long journey, and we have time to get to determine who we are and how we identify and what we want to do with our futures and our bodies and who we want to do it with and who we want to do it for and all of that, because that is a gorgeous river that is flowing along our journey of life.